I've already forgot it. Jesus. Okay. Hello, I'm Justin the Canadian Tuxedo. Welcome to the channel. Today we'll be talking about the new album by Rammstein entitled Zeit. I've been a fan of Rammstein's for like at least 20 years, and I mean that. I remember watching the Live Aus Berlin concert as a child, and it just blew my little mind. And I think it's amazing that the band have managed to grow and mature without really maturing. In their third decade, Rammstein still sound fresh and gargantuan as ever. The band has never phoned it in and managed to make one of their most challenging and harmonically complex records to date. All the familiar elements that make Rammstein so distinct are all still here and accounted for, but they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. The guitar tones are massive,
but like tuned really low.
And the drums sound like cannons. Hello, sir. Okay, where are we? And Till's vocals have developed and gotten even deeper and more menacing. The real surprise is the keys on this album. The synths and piano and other textural elements provide these songs with extra emotional weight and depth. The band even used autotune at one point on this album, and it actually works. I like that they're not afraid to take risks. The album deals with a lot of darkness and seems to depict the current social political climate. This album feels more focused than their previous self-titled album. It's also really interesting to see their most introspective and deep songs of their career next to some of the most ridiculous ones. The tone of this album overall is much more moody and brooding. I found upon listening to this album maybe more than others of theirs, I wanted to understand the lyrics in English because many of the creative decisions are indicative of the narrative within each song, which I think made me really appreciate this album. I mean, we really don't know when we won't have any more Rammstein to talk about. So, let's dive into the album. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any of these titles. I'm going to do my best. Armee Der Tristen, which is Army of the Sad, opens the album with some moody 80s synths and choirs and big pulsating groove. It feels like a marching beat with the chugging guitars and almost galloping drum beat. The vocals are a call to arms asking for the listener to join them into a march into darkness. This track feels like early Rammstein, which is really cool. The chorus has a really great sing-along part to it. There's a break in the middle that adds space with these synth pads before the band builds back up and into a militant chant. Admittedly, I wasn't blown away by the song upon first listen, but understanding the song's context within the album really introduces the themes within it, and now I feel like it's a strong opening cut and a great introduction to the record. Next we have the first single and title track, Zeit, or Time in English. This has to be one of the most emotional and vulnerable songs in all of Rammstein's discography. The song speaks to the fragility of time and the feeling that our time is always running out. The piano and soft song, almost hymn-like vocal in the beginning is something that the band really hasn't done before. Till's vocals are impressive and striking. The production on the song is very different from what you'd expect from Rammstein. The guitar tones and the various layers of synth, the song sounds like it's the soundtrack of a film. As the song develops, the band slowly builds up the dynamics. The bridge is powerful and it has these tremolo-picked guitars that are really carrying the emotional weight of the song. And then things get quiet and slowly build back up, and then they get even bigger and blows right up at the end. I really can't understate how beautiful and haunting this song is. There's like this choir vocal and piano at the end. It gave me like chills. And it's one of Rammstein's best songs. The song Schwarz, which translates to black, is a song about loving and embracing darkness. It has this like vampiric quality to it, which is kind of cool. There's a plaintive piano that leads us into the verse, which has this familiar Rammstein groove to it. The bass has this cool chorus effect that sounds like a post-punk record. The build-up to the chorus has some interesting and colorful chord choices. Before we get to the chorus, which does sound familiar, but still carries weight and power. Till's vocal performance has so much nuance and at one point sound haunting and then powerful the next. The bridge in the song is really cool. It's filled with spacious pianos and bells, and it's music that sounds like it would come out of a Danny Elfman score. While admittedly familiar to the Rammstein sound of Mutter, I still think that this song fits nicely within the track list and is still very powerful nonetheless. Next we have Giftig, which translates to toxic. This song describes a horrific toxic relationship. It opens with the chorus melodic hook, and those like trademark chugging guitars. Till's vocals are filled with venom, and I love how they reverse his vocals in the pre-chorus. This song has one of the catchiest choruses they've made in a long while. There's a really cool breakdown in the middle that they put auto-tune on Till's vocals, and it sounds kind of bizarre, but still kind of works. I feel like this should be a single. The chorus is really catchy and infectious. This track will have you headbanging and wanting to sing along for sure. Next, we have another single called Zick Zack, or Snip Snip. This is a really fun track. The band chants in the beginning over a synth pop kind of feel. The verse sounds a bit like Rammstein's earlier track Links 2, 3, 4, but it sounds great, so who cares? The chorus on this song is catchy as any of their other early hits. This song, being one of their more satirical songs, still carries the solemn undertones. You really feel it in the guitars and Till's vocal delivery. The song is an indictment of the need to project the societal idea of perfection and never get old, using surgery to make yourself look better or younger, and the cost of trying to obtain perfection and everlasting youth. It's a really powerful track. Up until this point, I had the idea in my head that this is a much more mature sounding Rammstein album. And then I hear this song, OK, or WC, which translates to Without Condom. I went to look for the English translation, and well, I did not expect to see that. But the lyrics go with the song really well, and the song is epic and heavy as hell. The drums are driving throughout most of the track, and the guitars are huge and have snarl and chug along. This is classic Rammstein, and it's one of the fastest driving songs on this album. And if it doesn't get you headbanging, I don't know what will. I love the little breaks within the verses where the band fills spaces with these shreddy bits. The synths sound like something out of like the Tron Legacy soundtrack. The chorus is catchy as ever, and in the end of the song there's this like epic breakdown.
It gives me lots and lots of stink face.
The next song, Meine Tränen, or My Tears, is a haunting and unusual track about an unhealthy, maybe abusive relationship a man has with his mother, where she abused him and shamed him for showing emotions. From the music side of this track, it does feel more in line with other Rammstein ballads, but just maybe a bit gloomier in tone. There's a baritone guitar in this track, and it sounds kind of like it would be at home in a David Lynch film. Till's vocal delivery is filled with pain and conviction, and you really feel it in the bridge. It's one of the emotional peaks on this record. The outro is phenomenal and filled with grandeur. The song feels like a companion to the song Mother. This one really grew on me, and I think it's overall a really great track. The latest single, Angst, which translates to fear, is one of the most pummeling songs on this record. The lyrics are all about how fear is used to control people. The intro has this theatrical percussion section, and when the band kicks in, you're in like classic Rammstein territory. And this song has the most unhinged vocals I've ever heard from Till. The chorus somehow manages to sound like a Disney villain song, but like metal. And the bridge is so visceral. The band uses silence to great effect, and then slather on noise and then break things down to a trudge. And probably the most horrifying vocal performance that Till's ever laid down. And it all builds to this like epic crescendo. The song is like a sonic sledgehammer, and it's one of the best on this record for sure. Dicke Titten, which literally translates to big boobs, because it's Rammstein. I don't think we really need to get into the specifics of the lyrics here. Oh, Rammstein. I found the intro wildly amusing. There's this like pa band playing, and then like these big fat chunky guitars and giant drums just slap you in the face. And then the verse, it's kind of like traditional Rammstein, and the chorus is hilariously poppy and major sounding before kicking you back down into like the dark sound. And then after the second chorus, the pa part comes back in, but it's like layered on top of what the band was doing. And then the chorus just gets so overblown and massive. I love it. And the back half of this song is just gargantuan. I see what you're doing there, Rammstein. You dirty, dirty, dirty boys. This song is goofy, but really fun at the same time, and it's a total banger. The song Lügen, which translates to lies, is an incredible track. This song speaks about lies that we tell each other and ourselves, till eventually you don't even recognize who you are because you're just lying all the time. These themes translate in the music and in the production really well. The haunting plucked sounds in the intro paired with Till's spoken word vocal, and then there's some nicely timed string parts that come in, and then when the band comes in, it just blows the whole thing to bits. It's a really incredible use of dynamics. And then there's this almost in the air tonight moment with the drums. It was like boom. You know the part I'm talking about. And then Till's vocals in the chorus are just filled with agony and emotion. Then they use auto-tune on Till's vocals, like the way a lot of rappers now are using hip-hop, which on the surface seems like a bizarre creative choice. But when you look at the subject matter of the song about lying and deceiving even yourself until you're someone else entirely, it just fits. It's a very creative way to project that message. The band sound like a wall of explosive sound, and the bridge has this really, really evil sound that has hints of EDM synths, and I really can't get over how massive this track gets. I think this is one of Rammstein's finest ballads in their entire catalog. On the final track, Adieu, which means goodbye, it feels like a send-off for the band. The song ties in with the themes of darkness and time, and how nothing lasts forever, including Rammstein. There's a spacious piano with some really colorful notes and big bassy synths. When the guitars rip into this track, there's some like dissonant screeches. The song makes me think of a heavier version of the song Children of the Revolution by T-Rex. It has a very similar riff and groove. This song takes the formula from some of Rammstein's anthems and just pours on melancholic elements, and it really gives this song some extra weight. And on the surface, this doesn't feel that different from maybe other Rammstein songs, but when you put it in the context of the record, this song drives home the sentiments that are shared throughout the album. There's no triumph in the end, there's just uncertainty. It's kind of a dark way to end the album, but it also feels very fitting. I think on this album, more than other Rammstein albums, there carries a thematical thread throughout the entire record. The songs speak of fear and vanity and chasing time and youth. Rammstein are commenting on the times that we are living in. This album sonically shows the band bettering themselves even in some cases. And that's a monumental thing to do when you consider they've been a band for like 30 years. This album has some tender moments that get pummeled by massive walls of guitars and drums, and the vocal performances are all captivating and have this almost ASMR quality to them. What more could a Rammstein fan really ask for at this point? And we're lucky they're even still making albums, because they don't have to. I personally love this record, even though it's a bit more gloomy than some of their other work, but if this is how they go out, then damn, they went out swinging with a sledgehammer. I'm gonna give this album 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a really solid record, and you should really dive into the lyrics of this album because the production really speaks to the lyrical context. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, hit like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments what you think of this record and what you think I should review next. Stay weird, my friends, and I'll catch you on the B-side.